During Thanksgiving dinner, my 11-year-old nephew laughed. Dad says there's no seat for you. You're not in our league, handing me a takeout box. Everyone laughed. My father smiled. I only have one son, and it's not you. I ate alone in my car. Later, my sister texted, "Don't forget to pay the $2,700 bill." I replied, "Check the envelope I left." Inside, they found a Polaroid photo of an empty safe with a note, "Happy Holidays. Dad says there's no seat for you. You're not in our league." My 11-year-old nephew, Ethan, grinned, shoving a takeout box into my hands. His voice was loud enough for the entire table to hear. Laughter erupted. Not just a giggle. Full, chest-shaking laughter. My sister, Marie, leaned back, wiping a tear from her eye. My mother smiled, more out of habit than joy. My father, the man who once told me, "Family means everything," grinned like he'd just heard the best joke of the year. "I only have one son, and it's not you," my father announced, his voice booming across the room. More laughter. More smiles. I stood there, boxed in by their amusement. I looked down at the sad, grease-stained container in my hands. Thanksgiving dinner, packed up and portioned like charity for the unworthy. The dining room, filled with the smell of roasted turkey, buttery mashed potatoes, and laughter, felt like a stage, and I was the punchline. I walked out without a word, not because I had nothing to say, but because they didn't deserve to hear it. The crisp November air hit my face as I stepped outside. My car was parked a few houses down, tucked between shadows like it didn't belong. I slid into the driver's seat, the cold leather biting against my back. There, in that quiet isolation, I opened the takeout box. Dry turkey, a spoonful of mashed potatoes that had already begun to harden. Gravy, congealed in a corner like a sad afterthought. I forced down a few bites, not because I was hungry, but because I needed to feel something other than the hollow ache clawing at my chest. My phone buzzed. "Marie, don't forget to pay the $2,700 bill." Of course, I was always useful to them in one way. A walking wallet, an emergency fund with a heartbeat. I swallowed the last dry mouthful, wiping my fingers on a crumpled napkin they'd tossed in the box. Then I started the car, the dashboard lighting up in a soft, indifferent glow. Before I drove off, I pulled out an envelope from the glove compartment. A simple, white envelope I had left on the sideboard by the dining room before they even noticed I was gone. Inside it, a Polaroid photo, an empty safe, and a note in my handwriting. "Happy Holidays." It started with a text. A simple, thoughtless text. "Can you cover Mom's medical bill? Just $480. You know how hard things are right now. Marie." I stared at it, the fluorescent glow of my phone making the message burn into my eyes. Hard times. That was the theme of our family, wasn't it? Their hard times, my responsibility. I didn't even ask what the bill was for. I knew the game. I transferred the money, sent the receipt, and got back to work. Another dent in my account, another debt I'd never be repaid. But it didn't stop there. 2 days later, it was Dad. "My car broke down. Can you send $700? I'm too old to deal with this stuff." A week after that, Marie again. "Can you pay off my credit card? Just this once. They're charging me crazy interest." By the end of the month, I had wired them over $3,000. No thank yous. No explanations. Just another wave of problems for me to solve. I told myself it was temporary, a rough patch. Families help each other. But then I saw it. A photo on Facebook. My father, my mother, and Marie, smiling at a lakeside cabin, all dressed in matching sweaters. The caption read, "Our beautiful family, making memories together." I wasn't in the photo. I wasn't even mentioned. But I recognized that cabin. I had paid for it. I had covered Marie's credit card debt, which wasn't debt at all. It was a weekend getaway. I felt the room around me shrink, my chest tightening. I wasn't part of their memories. I was just their ATM. I didn't say anything. I didn't call them out. I just watched. And then the messages turned cruel. A screenshot landed in my inbox. A family group chat, one I wasn't in. "Marie, he thinks he's better than us just because he has money. Dad, he's only useful when he pays. He should be grateful we still talk to him. Mom, he's just going through a phase. He'll come back like always." I stared at it, my pulse pounding in my ears. I scrolled up, the bile in my stomach rising. Message after message, jokes about me, complaints, even insults. "Marie, if he wasn't such a loser, maybe he'd have a real family by now. Dad, maybe we should ask him for money and cut him off when he's broke." My own mother laughed at that one. "Don't be mean. He's not that dumb. I was a walking joke to them. The fool who kept their lights on, paid for their trips, covered their mistakes. But the final message was the dagger. Marie, if he complains, we'll just tell him mom is sick again. Works every time. They used my mother's health as a weapon. A lie. They had turned her into a pawn, and me into a fool. I still didn't say anything. I didn't give them the satisfaction of knowing they'd been caught. Instead, I went silent. I didn't answer their calls. I didn't respond to the desperate texts. I just watched as they tried different tactics. Mom is worried about you. Are you okay? Dad, please, just talk to us. We love you. Marie, I need you. Family is everything. Mom. But their love was as fake as the sympathy in those messages. And then the public humiliation came. A photo of me from last Thanksgiving. I looked tired, leaning back in a chair, caught off guard. The caption on Dad's profile. Sometimes family can be so ungrateful. Over 30 comments. My cousins laughing. Family friends adding their thoughts. Wow, some people forget where they came from. Must be nice being too good for family now. Guess success makes you selfish. The photo had over 100 likes. 100 people convinced I was the problem, that I had turned my back on the family who raised me. But it wasn't over. A few nights later, my phone buzzed at 2 a.m. I was awake, staring at the ceiling, letting the darkness keep me company. Marie, fine. You want to act like a stranger? You'll regret it. By the next morning, I got a call from my boss. Hey, someone's been calling the office, saying you're unstable. They claimed you've been harassing them. I knew it was them. But I didn't panic. I started collecting. Screenshots, texts, bank transfers, the Facebook post, their fake sympathy, the cruel jokes, the false accusations. I compiled it all, building a mountain of proof. They had used me. They had laughed at me. And now, they were trying to destroy me. But they didn't know I was done playing their fool. The house was a picture of celebration. Balloons floated lazily against the ceiling. The dining table was packed with dishes, and Mom sat at the center, beaming, basking in the glow of her perfect family. Dad was cracking jokes. Marie was pouring wine, and I stood at the edge of it all, a polite smile plastered on my face. They thought I'd come back, that I'd forgiven them, that I was here to play the perfect son. I stayed quiet through the appetizers, watching them laugh, seeing the way they exchanged looks whenever I tried to speak. A silent agreement, let him talk, but never listen. A script they perfected. Finally, the cake arrived. Dad cleared his throat, raising his glass. To family, he began, his voice heavy with fake sincerity. We've had our ups and downs, but what matters is that we're together. Together? I echoed, a smile tugging at the corner of my lips. That's an interesting word. Mom's smile wavered. Dad's eyes narrowed. I brought you a gift, Mom. I reached into my coat pocket, pulling out a crisp, white envelope. Something honest. She hesitated, then took it, her fingers trembling slightly. With a forced smile, she pulled out the Polaroid photo. The picture of a cold, empty safe. The words scrawled beneath. This is all that's left of your love. The room froze. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. Marie's jaw dropped. What is this? Mom's voice was thin, barely above a whisper. It's the truth, I said, leaning back in my chair, calm as a storm building on the horizon. I know everything. I know how you laugh at me in your secret family chat. How you tell everyone I'm just an ATM with a heartbeat. Marie's face flushed. That's a lie. Is it? I pulled out my phone, tapping the screen. Let's read some of your messages, shall we? I cleared my throat, my voice cutting through the tense silence. He thinks he's better than us just because he has money. Marie, he's only useful when he pays. He should be grateful we still talk to him. Dad, don't be mean. He's not that dumb. You, Mom. Mom's face crumpled, tears already welling in her eyes. It's not like that, sweetheart, please. No? Then how about this one? I swiped to another message. If he complains, we'll just tell him Mom is sick again. Works every time. Mom's hands flew to her mouth. Dad's fists clenched on the table. You're just here to ruin everything. Marie snapped, standing up so fast her chair tipped over. Ruin? I laughed. No, Marie. I'm here to show you what you've ruined. I reached into my bag, pulling out a small stack of papers. You see, this isn't just about your messages. It's about this. I slapped the papers onto the table, and the room seemed to shrink. I know why the safe was empty. Because I emptied it. On Thanksgiving. While you laughed at me from your cozy dining room, I was in the study, unlocking your precious secrets. Dad went pale. You had no right. No right. Raised my voice, sharp and unyielding. No right to the truth? No right to know that the woman I called Mom isn't even my mother? Mom's face turned ashen. Marie staggered back. These are letters, I continued, holding up the crumpled, yellowing pages. Letters from my real mother. The one you forced out of my life. The one who tried to reach me, but you kept everything from me. Stop it. Dad's voice was a snarl now, his bravado crumbling. Put those away. Why? Afraid of the truth? I threw the letters onto the table, pages scattering like autumn leaves. She begged to see me. She wrote for years. And you hid it all. Tears streamed down Mom's face. We were protecting you. Protecting me? I spat. Or protecting yourselves? And it gets better, I continued, pulling out another stack of papers. Documents in my name. Loans, debts, credit cards I never opened. Because my father, the man who preaches family, was using me as his financial lifeline. Dad lunged forward, but I stepped back. Don't you dare. You stole from me. You forged my signature. You turned me into your personal bank account. Marie was sobbing now. This isn't real. It's a setup. You forged all this. Did I? I shot back. Or are you just angry I finally saw through you? And then the front door opened. All eyes turned, and for a moment, the room was suspended in silent horror. A woman stepped inside, mid-50s, elegant, with weary eyes that immediately found mine. Hello, James, she said, her voice gentle but unwavering. Dad's face drained of color. No, you can't be here. She's here because she always should have been, I said, walking over to stand beside her. Meet my real mother. The woman you lied to, the woman you erased. Mom let out a sob, collapsing into her chair. You told me you didn't want to see me, the woman whispered, her voice shaking. You said he forgot about me. Dad clenched his fists. Get out. Both of you. But I didn't move. I stared him down. I've spent my whole life thinking I was the problem, that I wasn't good enough. But now I know the truth. I wasn't part of your family. I was your victim. I turned to my mother. No, to the woman who had lied to me my whole life. And you helped him. You watched it all. You chose his lies over my life. I had no choice, she sobbed. I didn't want to lose you. But you never had me, I whispered. Not really. Silence settled, thick and suffocating. The perfect family shattered in the glow of birthday candles. I looked around the room one last time. At the broken woman who called herself my mother. At the father who was nothing more than a thief in a father's clothes. At the sister who saw me as nothing but a wallet. I'm done with you, I said, taking my real mother's hand. I was your fool. Your joke. But now? Now I'm free. And without another word, I walked out of that house. Not just out of the room, out of their lives. The echo of the judge's verdict still rang in my ears as I walked out of the courthouse. The midday sun hit my face, but all I could feel was the weight lifting off my shoulders. My father was officially convicted, guilty of fraud, forgery, and identity theft. He was ordered to repay me $145,000, every cent they had taken, stolen, or manipulated from me. The total amount hit like a slap. Dad had always made me feel like I owed them, like my success was somehow their victory, but now the court had spoken. Every dollar I spent on their rent, on their trips, on Marie's credit card debts, it was all coming back to me. As I walked down the courthouse steps, I saw them, Mom, Dad, Marie. Dad looked like a caged animal, rage seething just below the surface. Mom was weeping into a tissue, and Marie just stood there, looking at the ground. I didn't break stride as I walked past them. I had nothing left to say. You ruined us. Marie's shriek cut through the hum of the city noise. I didn't stop. Didn't look back. I had waited too long to hear those words, not because I enjoyed their pain, but because I needed them to understand the gravity of what they had done to me. The first payment came in 3 weeks later, an electronic transfer of $25,000. I stared at my phone, feeling a strange mix of relief and emptiness. Part of me wanted to believe it was an apology, a way to make amends. But I knew better. It wasn't love or guilt. It was fear. 2 weeks after that, another transfer arrived, $15,000. Then $10,000. Then $30,000. The payments became predictable, like a clockwork of desperation. Dad must have started selling off his prized possessions, the classic Mustang he never let anyone touch, the boat he bought when he thought he was rich. Every week, another transfer. The money slowly trickled in, piece by piece, until the total reached $145,000, not a dollar short. It was like watching them bleed out slowly, one transfer at a time. I never responded to their desperate texts. Marie sent angry messages accusing me of destroying the family. Mom called a few times, saying they were sorry, that I was being too harsh. Dad never spoke directly, but I knew he was there, lurking in the background. I ignored them all. One evening, about 5 months after the verdict, I drove by their house out of sheer curiosity. The once neatly kept lawn was now overgrown, the flower beds choked with weeds. A for sale sign leaned crookedly on the front lawn. The windows were dark. Dad was standing outside, pacing like a ghost who didn't know where to go. He looked older, smaller, like the weight of his own choices had finally crushed him. He didn't notice me as I drove past. Later that night, I received a message from Marie. It was just one sentence. "I hope you're happy now." I stared at the screen, feeling nothing. I typed back. "I didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourselves." Blocked her number. With the money returned, I finally had the freedom to do what I wanted. My biological mother and I opened a small bookstore cafe, cozy, full of mismatched chairs and shelves lined with secondhand novels. The windows let in streams of sunlight, and the air smelled of coffee and old paper. It wasn't about the business. It was about having something that was mine, a place where I wasn't just a wallet, but a person. My mother would hum while making lattes, and I'd stack books into makeshift towers, laughing when they toppled over. One afternoon, a local journalist stopped by, intrigued by our little shop. She had seen the online posts. My story had gone semi-viral, shared by people who related to breaking free from toxic families. She asked if I wanted to do an interview, and I almost said no. But then I thought of the Polaroid, the one with the empty safe. I kept it framed on the wall, a reminder of the freedom I had fought for. I agreed to the interview. I didn't want fame. I wanted people to know that survival wasn't the same as living, and that sometimes, choosing yourself meant letting go. The piece was published a week later, titled, "From Used to Free, One Man's Journey to Reclaiming Himself." The day after it was published, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me pick up. A man's voice, shaky but familiar. "I read the article," Dad whispered. I didn't know you felt like that." I didn't respond. The silence stretched. "I lost everything," he continued, his voice breaking. "I just wanted you to know that I never meant to hurt you." I thought about all the years I spent trying to win his approval. The countless nights I lay awake, wondering why I was never enough. Now, I finally had the answer. It wasn't about me. It was about him. His failures. His ego. "Dad," I said calmly, "I forgave you a long time ago, but I will never let you back into my life." He tried to respond, but I hung up, blocked the number. That night, I locked up the cafe and looked at the framed Polaroid one last time. I didn't need the reminder anymore. I took it off the wall, wrapped it in newspaper, and tucked it into a drawer. As I left, I glanced back at the darkened shop. It wasn't just a business. It was proof that I had taken back my life. Walking down the quiet street, I felt lighter, as if every step pulled me further from the shadows of my past. For the first time in years, I was free. I never saw them again. Not in person, not in messages, not even through mutual friends. My family was gone, my choice. The cafe became my world. Sunlight warmed the shelves of second-hand books, and the smell of fresh coffee mixed with quiet laughter. My mother, my real mother, was always there, her gentle smile a constant. The community loved her, and through her, they came to know me. But the ghosts of my old life tried to return. Mom's Facebook posts were desperate. Our son turned his back on us. Marie's were dramatic. We did everything for him, and he destroyed us. But I didn't react. I didn't reply. I blocked them all. They shouted into a void. Instead, I watched my world grow. The cafe hosted poetry nights, book signings, and our Instagram page gained thousands of followers. Strangers sent me messages. "I was in a similar situation. Your story gave me the courage to walk away. My parents used me like yours did. Thank you for showing me it's okay to say no." The $145,000 they were forced to repay became the lifeline for this life. I never flaunted it. I just lived. Finally, I felt peace. One rainy afternoon, a young woman approached the counter, hesitant. "Are you the one who broke free?" I smiled. "That's one way to put it. My dad, he's like yours. Controlling." Her voice trembled. "I don't know how you did it." "I did it because I realized something," I said. "They'll keep using you until you stop letting them." Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." After she left, I found the Polaroid, the empty safe. Once a reminder of betrayal, now just a photo, hidden in a drawer. I didn't need it. My reminder was here, a thriving cafe, a loving mother, and a life that was mine. Sometimes, I heard whispers. Dad sold his house, moved to a tiny apartment. Marie tried to find help from distant relatives, but they knew the truth. Mom blamed me for everything. But no one listened. They were fading memories, shadows. My phone was quiet. My days were peaceful. And every time I looked at my mother, I remembered that I hadn't just escaped a toxic family, I had found a real one.